Warriors go down to Canberra, 20-18 at GIO Stadium. I'm going to call it now and say two teams, 2 weeks in a row, have had their season finished through goal kicking. South Sydney last week.
Yeah, good point.
Cody Walker misses 4. That's the difference. This week, Chanel Harris-Tavita. Joel Kane spoke about this on the run home. He said, in a professional team sport, in a game where players are on millions of dollars, how do you not have 5 kickers at your club ready to go when you're training full-time 5-6 days a week plus an entire preseason? How do you not have kickers on hand ready to go in professional sport?
Do you know I was a 3rd or 4th string kicker at Parramatta during my time.
What would you say your strike rate would be if you were called on to kick?
I would have said in the under 20s, because I kicked in the under 20s, I would have kicked at about 70%.
Which would have been good enough last night for the Warriors. Like a 70% hits that one that Tavita misses, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He would have been super nervous because you know what the thing is, and it's like you were talking to Zach about it then. So if you missed that, remember you can catch that on the podcast later on. It was a really good chat. It's similar to golf, you know. I always associate a lot of goal kicking and guys that play golf. Or vice versa, are really good goal kickers because it's hand-eye coordinations. And there's a thing called getting the yips in golf. And you know what it's like. I don't know if you've ever gone and played golf and you slice one off the tee on the first box.
Yeah. And
you put it out of bounds and you feel like you're catching up over the next couple of holes. But about 5 or 6 holes in, you feel comfortable. You start, striping them, hitting down the middle.
Yep.
When Chanel missed that first one so badly, for me it's better because I was watching it after the fact. I actually watched the first half last night, got up and watched the second half this morning.
Yeah.
So once I seen him miss that first one, I knew what was coming at the end, and I was like, that makes sense. Because he swung that first one so badly and ripped into it because he tried to kick it from the sideline. On the last one, he just tries to stab at it because he's lost all confidence.
Yeah.
Because of what happened in the first one, and then the second one follows after. It was a little bit better, but not all that much better. And then it looked like he was trying to place it over the post. Like he didn't have confidence enough to let it rip because the other one had gone so far past it. But yeah, it's definitely a mental battle. Zach said it perfectly, and he would know better than anyone. He had a rough go at it last year. I think he would have been around the 65% there for a period. So for where he is now, not only on the field, but also that really crucial part of turning 4 into 6, it's a big part of the game, mate.
Here's what Andrew Webster, Warriors coach, had to say about the goal-kicking situation last night.
I think we love to be 100% on our goal kicking every week, but that's not going to, there's plenty of other things to put it down to, not goal kicking. I mean, there's lots of injuries and lots of things going on, but we're not going to, the goal kicking is not the thing that defined us tonight. Like, we got to start better. 14-0's not good enough, and we're just chasing the game for the rest of it. Yeah.
It's pretty much an echo of what Ben Hornby said last week. And you've got to say that for player welfare, right? Like, you don't want poor Chanel to feel like he let the entire team down. But same thing, 2 weeks in a row, goal kicking decides essentially a season because I can't see the Warriors bouncing back from there and making the 8.
No, it's been one of those years for him. I heard in the commentary last night, I think they said the Warriors had 6 games determined by under 6 points.
Mm-hmm.
That was their 9th game. Before that, they had won 2 of them, lost 5, and then drew the one against Manly. So that'll take them to 6 losses now on the year. And that's the difference, mate. This competition is so close, and we all know that. Any team can beat any team. Outside of Penrith, who slip up every now and again in the last 4 years for the most part. The competition's so close, and I totally agree with Sugar. You've got to have, without a doubt, your number one goal kicker locked in with confidence. Like, I don't want goal kicker. I think a part that's left the Roosters down in the last couple of years is the uncertainty around who was kicking goals between Sam Walker and Suaalii. Remember that?
Yep.
How they'd swap and, like, if I'm a player of the Sydney Roosters, I want to see our guy, stepping up and taking the kick, regardless if he's in bad form or good form. And if he misses 3 or 4 in a row, I don't want changes. I want him to line it up and be as confident as he is and know that he's got the full support of the playing group. If we got to change a couple of weeks down the road because it continues for 2 or 3 weeks, then so be it. But there were times where the Roosters were swapping and changing, and that, again, that coincided with the inconsistency that Roosters had in games, in my opinion. So I want that clear cut. I want a number 2 that's really confident, that can step up to the plate if that player 1 is injured, not playing the game, or injures himself, or gets suspended, or gets sent off, or whatever the variation may be. And then you've got to have 3 and 4. Sugar's right. Like, you've got to have guys practicing after. There's so many things that you can do to work on your game after. And whether that's hitting, I remember at the time at Parramatta, I wasn't goal kicking every week, but Darryl Halligan would come and kick with, at the time it was Luke Burt. I think Daniel Mortimer was a selection number 2. Hainsey used to kick every now and again. And then I used to just kick maybe once every 3 or 4 weeks, just, worst case scenario. Now, that never panned out, and I never had to, because obviously Birdie was elite at goal kicking, and then Morty, if he ever missed any time through injury. I never felt like Birdie was ever injured. He was one of those guys that was so reliable.
Durable,
so he was always out there, but we did have a plan B, C, and even D.
Yeah. What about, and I think the reason Joel Kane says that is that maybe the importance of goal kicking is underappreciated, because the conversion is worth half the points of the try. So you get 4 points for the try, 2 for the conversion. All you ever really think about is, you add the extra 2 for the try. But if you're going up in sixes, it's an absolute game changer. I know that sounds obvious, but I think sometimes we underappreciate kickers in our game.
I'll tell you what, when you're out there and as a player, the mentally, when you see a guy continually knock him over, you just feel that much better. Like, it's so good playing. And then, again, on the flip side of that, there have been games where, like, not again. Like, you don't say anything to him, but deep down, we're all standing there off the kickoff. We've well rested. Everyone's had a chat, waiting for him to kick it. Well, that's the second or third ones he's missed. Like, we can probably still beat this team, but it's going to make it so much harder.
Yeah. On the flip side of that, Jamal Fogarty returned for the Raiders. His kicking game was probably the difference in the game.
Yep.
In the end, huge kicking game. He set up that Hudson Young try. He's been out for 3 months. But now the Raiders, this is their run now, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And it shows the importance. And I was thinking about this too when I was watching it. Even at the start, like the first half, I was watching the first half last night, about how important it is just having that stability. And we're going to see it. I believe we're going to see it tonight in the Broncos game. Or was it? Do the Broncos play the Knights tonight? I think they play 7:30 tonight. I think we're going to really see it with the Broncos as well. How important that game managing 7 is, and not only the kicking game, which is obvious, goal kicking. Both those 2 halves, who are the veteran halves that are coming back, are both really good goal kickers. They take most of the kicks in general play. But you could see the energy from everyone in and around Fogarty every time he either ran the ball or even just, you look at that the Hudson Young second try. The confidence that Hudson Young runs that line with, he wasn't running that with the other halves previous. And that's the little bit of difference, the little percentage of difference that matters when you hit a hole with pace, because you've got full faith in a guy that's been there and done it for a long time.
Here's what Elliot Whitehead had to say about the return of Jamal Fogarty.
Yeah, look, they've been massive all week for us. They've fitted straight back in from where they left off from, and I think you saw what Jamal brings to us tonight. His kicking game was second to none again, and put us in good field position, especially early on in the game, especially the first probably 30 minutes. We looked like we were in control, but like I said, we probably went away from that and made a few errors and let the Warriors get their foot back into the game.
So they got Fogarty back. They also got Hosking back last night, who was massive to start the season. Can the Raiders make a push now? If we have a look ahead to their remaining games, so they've got the Bunnies, winnable.
Yep.
The Bulldogs at Belmore, that's probably a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough
particularly Belmore. Then they go Seagulls, Cowboys, Panthers, Roosters, Dragons. It's not an easy run. So of those teams, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 top 8 sides, and 2 sides outside the top 8 in the Bunnies and the Cowboys. Cowboys at Townsville. Can they do it?
I'm going to say no. It's a really tough draw. But in saying that, all of those teams that are playing Canberra, they're not going to be looking at Canberra going, that's an easy win. Like, it's going to be a really difficult game for them mentally going into the game as well.
Right.
They're one of those teams at the back end of the season where you're probably expected to win. For the most part, a lot of these teams, I'm looking at the Bulldogs, even the Seagulls down at GIO, Cowboys, Panthers, Roosters, Dragons, and Estrada. all of those teams will be favourites against the Raiders. Unless they go on a run and they win 3 or 4 in a row, that could change significantly based off, some form that they're on. But for the most part, they're all going to be favourites. But it's not going to be easy for any of them. And, they're just one of those teams. They're gritty. I loved already the what Fogarty did specifically for Strange. He had that really nice break at the end and he made an error off a 30, 40-metre break.
Mm-hmm.
Noticed the first person that was there and picked him up and just had a really quick conversation to him was Jamal Fogarty about, okay, hey, good. I interpreted it was good break, but you got to hold that, and then let's get on to our next job. And that's how important those veteran players are.